Okay, now if this has a disadvantage, and it does, then the disadvantage, let me just get a better angle over here so we can see it down there. Then the disadvantage is going to be that this doesn't light very easily. The wax is nice and thick, which you want, but you're not going to get this lit with a spark or with a small flame. You need a lighter, and even with a lighter, it's not exactly a walk in the park. Let's see, because you've got to melt the wax. And you've got to get that cardboard to take. And there's a bit of wind in the way. I'll just cut myself over here. Can be a little bit of a nightmare. Oh, nearly. Once it starts to take, the flame is going to spread, and while the flame is spreading, it is rather susceptible to the wind, so you are going to want to cup it. There we go, it's going. So you are going to want to cup it and just protect the flame, but once the flame has spread, and it'll take about a minute or two to spread over the whole candle, then it's pretty impervious to the wind. It's a good strong flame and it's not going to go anywhere. So let's just let this spread. So you can see there is a downside to this, and that is that it does take a little bit of effort to light. You need a flame beforehand. You need a constant, decent flame to get this thing going. But once it's going, if you just shelter it from the wind until it spreads over, you are good to go. I'm just going to do some editing here. Okay, there you can see it's almost spread all the way. A little bit of wax there on the left hand side. But this is pretty much good to go. Good strong wind. It's very windy at the moment, as you can see, so oh, that's a good test of its strength. It might go out, but it is very resistant to the wind in general. Now, as you can see, the flame actually reaches all the way from the end. It burns, it covers the whole candle. Now what happens is, as this flame burns, and by the way, this will burn for an hour. This is going to give you an hour's worth of fire. Not bad considering its size. But what happens, and how easy it is to refill, is as the wax starts to burn away, the flame is going to get smaller in its circumference. It's going to work its way from the outside and go along to the middle. Now all you do, when it starts to get small, when the flame reaches a small little point in the middle, all you do to refill it is just take some candle wax, break it off, throw it in, the heat will melt it, it'll melt down and refill itself. So easy and so simple. This cardboard wick is actually good for 3 burns, so you can refill this 3 times, and I would say on the 4th, I wouldn't go more than 3 times, then it starts to get really crumbly and it doesn't really work too well. But the flame is only burning the top of the cardboard. So once this flame has died and I've refilled it and it's died and I've refilled it, all I do is I let it cool, and then I just, much like you saw when I took it out to make the fire tin, I just pop it out, and the bottom of it is perfect. Pop it out, turn it upside down, put it in, fill it up, and bingo, you're good to go for another 3 hours worth of that. So one tin like this is in essence 6 hours of flame. How much wax do you use? Well, 1 candle fills this tin 3 times. 1 normal regular candle. So that's not bad when you think about it. You can see how the wind is blowing and that flame is still good. Once it establishes itself, it is pretty resistant to the wind. Another great thing about this is that there's a very low risk of a forest fire erupting. You're not really burning anything, there's no real embers. Clear it out. I've got this wooden pillow over here which is absolutely fine. But putting it out is just as simple as starting at it's pretty resistant to the wind, putting it out, simply take your lid and pop it over, and that's it. Out it goes. So this is the basic run-of-the-mill fire tin. It works great, and I highly recommend throwing one in your backpack. This will take just a few minutes to cool. The tin is very thin, and of course the wax cools off very, very quickly. Let me just say a couple of things about this before I show you the variation. This is great for warming yourself up, getting a fire going. It has its drawbacks, as I said. You need a constant flame to get it going, and because it's cardboard and because of the wax, it does create a lot of like black soot that comes up. So if you're going to boil water, and you can, it's very easy. It boils water very quickly because the flame is so concentrated. But your cup is going to get covered in the stuff. It's just that horrible black soot. Your food, on the same principle. If you want to skewer something and cook it over the flame, you can, but your food is going to taste quite horrible. So I don't really recommend it for that, for cooking. But if you've got your cup, if you don't mind your cup getting black, it just wipes off really. Or you can always put tinfoil over the bottom of your cup and do it that way. Put tinfoil down so that nothing penetrates through the tinfoil but the heat. Put your cup on top of that. It'll work. It works great. I've used it many times and I love it. So, the difficult start and the black soot are two negatives. It doesn't really produce that much smoke in essence, so that's pretty good about it. But let me go ahead and show you the variation. Okay, to make the variation, it's much like making the first one. Roll your bits of corrugated cardboard, but stop when you have gone about that far. Leave a gap in it. Now, why should we leave a gap, you say? Well, I'll show you that in just a moment. So, roll your cardboard, get it to this stage, leave a hole, and then drip it up with wax. I'm going to go ahead and do that very quickly with this one.